Good afternoon everyone, how you all doing? Hope you are all well. Thank you very much for tuning in to my latest video, I really appreciate it. Today I'm wanting to discuss as you can see from the title, the pandemic treaty, or the international pandemic treaty that's being discussed almost behind our backs. Now I know a few human rights groups have picked it up, and there's obviously a few news channels. I've seen even Talk TV were discussing the dark implications of it. So that tells you that there's obviously something not quite right with it when not even they're supporting it. Now, I didn't know that much about it, I'll be honest. The first time it was brought to my attention was in 2021 when Boris Johnson had announced that it was going to be discussed through the World Health Organisation so that we were better prepared for pandemics. And my mum had told me about it, and she had said that there was negative implications, which there obviously is, and she'd given me a few bullet points on what it meant or what it was going to mean for us. And at the time I had said to her, I says, well, I'm finding it very difficult to believe that they're going to be able to enforce that or get any government to accept it. But here we are 3 years later, almost to the month of me saying that, and they are very much trying to push it through. Now the good news is, it was up again to see if it could get stamped just this month. I think it was just the other day there, I can't remember the exact date, but it's been rejected in its current format. And when you actually read between the lines and look at it, it's no bloody wonder. And basically what it means is, it means that, so the World Health Organisation, just before COVID had kicked off, what they did was, they had changed the definition of what a pandemic should be. That's a fact. You can go and check that for yourself. You can check it on the World Health Organisation website, as I've done. I had it written down, I'm not sure what I've done with it, it was a wee while ago. But they've basically said that on the World Health Organisation website, it used to be that, I think it had to be, I can't remember if it was 6% or 0.6% of the world population. Perhaps that's maybe what they've changed it to, the 0.6%, I'm not sure. But they no longer need 6% of the world population, which COVID didn't kill anything like 6% of the world population. In fact, COVID didn't kill anyone, in my opinion, because they were using a test that didn't test for viruses to determine whether you were under the influence of a virus, and that's what the symptoms were. So I'm not really sure how you can have a test that can tell you you've got COVID-19. It's almost like taking a drug test and you testing positive for cannabis and then be able to tell you what strain it is you've had. I mean, that's how ridiculous it was. I heard one virologist say that with all these different strains of COVID, it was no different to like pictures. You take one picture of yourself with a hat on, and then the next one you take it with your hat off. It's that basic. There was no isolation method either, as I've stated in earlier videos. Now, this pandemic treaty, what it means is that if we sign up to this and we agree and this gets ratified, then under law, because they wanted to, this is where the sticking points are. Europe, the UK mainly want to make it legally binding. The USA, India and Brazil don't. Now, legally binding, obviously, it means that if you are tied to a legally binding document, it means that you can be held accountable if you don't comply with it, having signed up to it. This is where the sticking point is, and this is why we need to be aware of it. And even I've discarded it as nothing to worry about. But I think if we're going to look at anything in this coming week, I think it needs to be this, because this has got fundamental implications for our freedom and sovereignty. Of that I have no doubt. And I've not even read that much of it. And I looked into the World Health Organisation. I thought I'll Google some articles, and you got all the main ones coming up. And I went onto the World Health Organisation, and they were assuring everybody that it wasn't going to affect our freedom or our sovereignty or anything like that. All other articles that were saying that, oh, it's conspiracy theory, that it's going to affect our freedom and our sovereignty. Right, okay, that's fine, I'll ride the bus to the next stop. I then looked at an article from a Human Rights Watch group, which I'll read to you in a second, a snippet from it, that basically they wanted to attend the negotiations on when they were drawing this document up, to ensure that the public's sovereignty and freedoms were protected. and they were unfortunately rejected. They were prohibited from attending. So you can sit there and say that it's all about protection and all about public health, and sovereignty is not, there's not a threat to sovereignty, that's fine. But when you're refusing a human rights group to attend the meeting to ensure that those basic human freedoms are protected, and you're actually refusing that, then I'm sorry, I've got questions. Now, I'm just going to read it. I'll read basically this. I've got this from the World Health Organization. So, and this is the main goal of the treaty. So the group leaders said this. The main goal of this treaty would be to foster an all-government and an all of society approach, strengthening national, regional and global capacities and resilience to future pandemics. This includes greatly enhancing international cooperation to improve, for example, alert systems, data sharing, research and local, regional and global production and distribution of medical and public health countermeasures such as vaccines, medicines, diagnostics and personal protective equipment. All of which vaccines are completely useless. I've grown to believe that we don't need them. Food is medicine, so if you want to start making the world healthier, why don't we start there? Start with exercise and fruit and vegetables and perception change and healthy thoughts. That all contributes to a healthy living. I'm sure there'll be many people out there that's had these vaccinations that will attest to the fact that it's actually made their quality of life worse. I've been contacted by a guy this week that suffered from AstraZeneca effects who wants to talk to me to get his story out there. I've not had a chance to get back to him yet, but I will be doing that. Because it's important that we listen to these people and then match it up to what the goals of these groups are. Now, they're saying that it's all under a smokescreen that when the vaccine was engineered, that it wasn't being distributed correctly. It was being hoarded by rich countries and not given it to poor countries, which I think was a load of bloody nonsense, because they tried to give it to anybody that would take it. In America, they were offering Krispy Kreme donuts for life if you took one. So I'm not sure where they're getting that from. And I don't know how many these countries received that they actually didn't even use. They wasted and had to get rid of because no one bloody wanted them. So they know that their narratives fall into bits. So this is why they need to put it into law, into a legally binding document, so that they can have their way. I mean, and what it would mean is, if we agree to this, all the World Health Organization would need to do would be to announce that there's a pandemic, and that's it. They would just need to announce it. No evidence necessary, as with COVID. But this time, at least with COVID, not a lot of people knew this. That was all guidelines. It was all consent. But yet people thought were telling me it was law when it wasn't. So it's not for the betterment of humanity. It's for their centralised control. And the best way to do that is through public health, in my opinion, because if you can get people believing they're going to die and manipulate them into that position of fear, it won't be long before the people are asking you for solutions which you will happily give, which is exactly what this is. So we need to be streetwise to it. Because it's really quite dark and obscure. There's no doubt about it. And I'm just going to read, I actually had a look at the document in full. I mean, it is a load of legal claptrap, really. It bores the life out of you. It bored me to tears the bits I read it anyway, and sometimes wonder if that's why they write law like that, to stop people learning it, so that they can't stand up for themselves. I wouldn't be surprised, because it's even more boring than the Bible. Not that I read the Bible, but I've read passages of it just to try and see what if I could see anything. But it just bored me. Like, it's like, nah, man, I'll be sleeping before if I read another bloody page of this. But anyway, the one part of this document that caught, it was Chapter 2, Article 4, and I'm just going to read it to you. So, the pandemic prevention and public health surveillance. The parties, and says earlier in the document, there'll be parties appointed by the globalists, and they'll do what they're told to do, just as politicians are. Shall cooperate with one another in bilateral. Oh, I do apologise. Sorry, I've just lost it. Oh, I do apologise here. I've just bloody lost that. Sorry, I think I've just actually deleted that. Okay, it doesn't matter anyway. It doesn't. Well, it does matter, but I can get it up from here. Just bear with me a second. I do apologise. Article 4. Where is it? Sorry about this, folks. Honestly, because I do want to read this to you. Article 2. Objectives. Chapter 2, Article 4.7. Sorry, here it's here. So, pandemic prevention and public health surveillance. The parties shall cooperate with one another in bilateral, regional and multilateral settings to progressively strengthen pandemic prevention and public health surveillance capacities, consistent with the International Health Regulations 2005. And taking into account national and regional circumstances. Each party shall develop, strengthen, implement, periodically update and review comprehensive, multi-sectoral national pandemic prevention and public health surveillance plans that are consistent with and supportive of the effective implementation of the International Health Regulations 2005 and in accordance with its capacities that cover inter alia, whatever that means, collaborative surveillance, community-based early detection and control measures, water, sanitation and hygiene, routine immunisation, we all know what that means, infection prevention and control, I'll get into what that means in a second, zoonotic spill over and spillback prevention, don't know what that means, laboratory biological risk management in order to prevent the accidental exposure to the misuse of the inadvertent release of pathogens. Well, you'll need to prove the last one existed first, mate, before I start buying it. And vector-borne disease surveillance and prevention. And I listened to the article on Talk TV, or the video on Talk TV about that this morning, and they were basically saying that, I mean, in that article there, that's basically saying that if you've not been immunised, they can show up at your door and enforce immunisation. It's routine immunisation, and if it's legally binding and you don't follow it, they can hold you accountable in a court of law. This is why they want it legally binding. So this means that sovereignty is gone. So you can't, even if you say, right, if the World Health Organization decides to announce another pandemic, even if you say, well, hold on a second, I don't buy that, and I'm not sure about that, and I've got questions about that, so I'm not going to follow this now, you're not going to have that option because it's going to be legally binding. And the last thing I want is vaccine police showing up at the door asking for your immunisation papers. They want vaccine passports. I mean, so many people, I know people that went and got their vaccines because they thought they weren't going to get onto holiday again, and it's like, look mate, don't do it, you'll get to go on holiday again, just ride it out. But that some of them didn't like, and it's really, really sad. But this will all be law now if they get this ratified, and we need to absolutely be on our guard, because if we're not, then, see, this is the thing, right, and I get this, all the time people say this to me, I know all the politicians are corrupt, and I know they are. They're all in it for the money and they're all in it for themselves. I don't watch Parliament, I don't keep an eye on it for that fact, and it's true, like, a lot of it is true, but they do also rely on people thinking like that, because these things, they can slip into debates in Parliament and they can try and get them ratified, and not that many people are speaking about it. And it really does annoy me. I love football, but see, when you watch TalkSport every day, see some of the guys that call up that line and they are absolutely distraught about how their club's being run, who's managing their club, how the team's playing in the pitch, and it's the be all and end all. And yet, when something like this comes along, they just don't seem to care. It's almost like they're overcompensating within their sport or their chosen, which is their chosen religion, to avoid looking these things in the face. And it was the same when the Super League started to happen, or that got requested. All fans came out in unification to say, boom, we ain't having it. And the owners were grovelling. I know they're still trying it, but they were grovelling because everyone was united on it. Imagine if we'd done that for things that actually matter. Now, I know, I love football. It's a release for everyone. It's a religion because people attend it on a weekly basis, fortnightly basis. And it's their life. And that's fine. If it's Coronation Street's your thing, that's fine. If EastEnders, if it's net, it doesn't matter. Everyone's got to have their leisure viewing and their releases, but we need to keep a peripheral vision on things that are a threat to our sovereignty and freedom, and that is exactly what this bloody document is. There's no doubt about it. And I mean, when you read things like they're creating a new pandemic treaty could offer an opportunity to ensure that countries are equipped with proper mechanism for cooperation and principles, and basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to say that it's all under a smokescreen that, like I said, the vaccines were being hoarded by richer countries, and it's all about the safety of people. And if you notice that tyrants always use the safety of people as an excuse to bring in their measures. Well, we don't want to control you. We don't want that. But we need to keep you safe. And if you're obviously not, if you're in a position of fear already and you've not got your mind right and you're thinking these people are telling you the truth, then you're going to go with it. And that's the problem with it, it really is. I mean, I don't know where we go with this, but like I said before, there was a human rights group that asked to attend these bloody agreements, and it was refused. So when we know what we know about people like Bill Gates and Tedros, and then you read just snippets of what I've just read there, and you think, well, why should I trust you? And where is our say in this anyway? Our say is going through our politicians, right? So we vote for the politicians, the ones that we think are on our side, to then obviously represent us at things like this to ensure we're protected. The problem is, the people we're voting for are bought and paid for. They are there for themselves and the people they're working for. You are just, they don't care about you. It's swapped around. It used to be them working for us, now it's us working for them. Or maybe it's never been them working for us. Maybe that was just an illusion all the way through. But it's time they were working for us, and they're not doing that now. And with things like this, I mean, Boris Johnson, I wouldn't trust the man as far as I could throw him. I've spoken about this before, but when you look at him during the Olympics in 2012, when he was coming out in the hospital, and you had the dancing nurses and big satanic-looking witches casting spells, and the COVID virus, it's like, are you trying to tell me that that's a coincidence? Or is there something else going on that we don't quite understand? I would say it's the bloody latter. Boris Johnson, Tedros, Bill Gates, Fauci, Neil Ferguson at bloody Imperial College. Honestly, don't know how that man's still in a job. These are the people that we're being asked to trust, ladies and gentlemen. And when you read just snippets of even the document, or what these human rights groups are saying, or even what the World Health Organization are saying themselves, there is a cause for concern here. I want everyone to have freedom, and to be able to have freedom of expression, and to do what they think is right for them and their family. This treaty takes all that away. You're giving your sovereignty over to an organisation, the World Health Organisation, that's literally got two snakes wrapped around two needles for a logo. Now, back at the start of all this nonsense, I asked my papa, obviously before he died, that would you really trust an organisation? Like, if you didn't know anything about them before, they're coming along like, we'll save you, we'll give you this will cure you. And then you see their logo as a snake, or snakes wrapped around two needles. I mean, what would you honestly say to that organisation? I think that, thanks for your help, mate, but I would really need to know a little bit more about you. Or maybe we wouldn't, because the World Health Organisation, everyone just takes their bloody word for it. And this is the thing, these things, like the World Health Organisation and the DWP and all these other institutes, like religion and all that, it was all set up to try and better people. It was supposed to be. But this group of archons, or this group of tyrants, whatever you want to call them, they are masters in, first and foremost, infiltration, deception and manipulation. So all these organisations that were supposed to be started for good end up bad. I mean, you can't really say that about the World Health Organisation, because it was started by the Rockefellers, and I wouldn't trust them, and it's given to the Gates family to run. And then you look at Tedros, the guy who's running it now, I think he's still running it. He's crimes against humanity for epidemics and for covering up epidemics in Ethiopia, and that's a provable fact. And Anthony Fauci's another born liar. So we've been lied to so many times, and this is the thing. And I said this 3 years ago when I still had Facebook. It won't matter what you do. These people are going to push ahead with this, whether you face it or not. That's why we need everyone to face it, because the more people that are sitting watching TV and not doing anything about it, the better it is for them, frankly. And I mean, there's no guarantee it's going to get ratified, but we absolutely must be on our guard for that, because when it does, we need to get it's time to get the gloves off, people. It really is. We need to start fighting. And we need to start fighting quickly, because this is absolutely disintegrating this whole democracy, if that's ever what it was, our freedoms, our sovereignty, it's all going. They want to take it from you, and we need to stop them from doing that, and we do that by facing the problem and staring it in the face. Thank you very much for listening to me. I'll see you in the next one.